The website is computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. I am a computer nerd. Therefore, my phone number is really easy. It is 888-NERD. Yeah, that's right, nerd. 888. Let me translate that into simple numbers. 888-6373-888. Yeah, I enjoy answering your computer questions. We've been doing this for a long time. We are close to our 8th anniversary. That is just a few months away. It'll be just after we go to the Consumer Electronics Show in January. So it's always fun to talk to the listeners and exchange emails as well. I learn a lot of stuff from you guys about how I'm doing. So you guys actually really mold this show. It's kind of funny how that works. Coming up later on this hour, Keith M. Sedor and I are going to be talking about don't use your browser for everything. That's kind of a bad trend that we're seeing. Updates, they're a must-have. I'm going to tell you that right now. And if you're rebooting during them, yeah, what could happen? Well, we'll talk about that. Bob Maginnis is going to be here next up, and he's actually going to be talking about the future of cyber warfare. And this is a lot bigger than just like, these different little battles on the internet. It's a lot deeper than that and a lot further than you might even imagine. But first, let's cover the news like we always do. And one of the things that really hits up front before I even start to talk about what's going on in regards to a lot of people getting election overload, I am going to cover a little bit of stuff in that field, but some of the stuff is mostly stuff I'm poking at. Well, CNN, for instance, a gentleman by the name of Chris Cuomo said this.
Also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us. And in full disclosure, let's take a look at what is in there. And
okay. So he made claims that, yes, if you are reading Wikileaks documents, if you possess these documents, it's against the law. Well, the reality is the First Amendment doesn't work like that. And people have brought forth a number of cases in the aftermath of what Chris Cuomo said. And basically, what it comes down to is even the Supreme Court has rejected civil liability for distributing illegally obtained cell phone recordings. And also, beyond that, they have refused to differentiate the public, that's you and I, from the media, which is Chris Cuomo. And, oh, wait, I guess I'm part of the media too. But you've got the idea. Anybody can read this stuff. It's boring. It's WikiLeaks, which is a bunch of mass just data dumps. But, there are people out there who are reading it. Although, yes, Julian Assange had his internet access cut. And there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes there. Ecuador basically cut his access. There's accusations that this was under pressure by John Kerry. I don't know if that's true, but there is some statement in regards to they realized that WikiLeaks in particular Assange was really publicizing way too much and trying to influence the election, and Ecuador doesn't really want to have any part of influencing the election here. So in one more item here in the sort of that election field, Google News has decided that, quote, they will quote, shine a light on the efforts to divide fact from fiction. And what they're doing is they're going to help people find fact in fact from fiction in large news stories. So here's the biggest concern I have. With all that I've talked about in regards to what Google has been doing with manipulating search results who's to say that they're going to be absolutely unbiased in their fact-checking? And my guess is, yeah, I wouldn't bet on it. I would not bet on this at all. Google is a great search engine. They're great for finding information. Sometimes it might be a little bit buried if it's not to their liking. But as long as you're staying out of the political fields, probably pretty good. Now, why do I keep mentioning this whole thing about the election? Well, there have been a number of surveys that show that you and I are all getting stressed out by the election. I will tell you that there are a number of people that are out there that are they're saying, I've had enough. I'm not watching the news. I'm not watching Twitter. I'm really not going on Facebook. And I'm avoiding Facebook. I don't do a lot of Facebook posts. I do a little bit of poking about, and I read stuff there. But I see so many people posting false stuff on both sides of the aisle. Mind you, I look at this, and some of this is just getting really, really ugly and vehement. And look, we all need to take a chill pill. I've said this a few times over the course of this past summer here. We need to be far more civil. It would be great if we would go back to the time, basically, we go back to the times of 100 years ago. We might do well to look at the House of Commons. C-SPAN carries their various, maybe it's Parliament. They carry along these various conversations, which seem to be quite nasty digs, but they do them in such a way that is at least showing respect. With all due respect to the right honorable gentleman across, I believe that he is a... Yeah, well, okay. At least they're trying. I don't see anybody trying now. Elon Musk. Wow, he had a quote this past week, and the quote just really caught my eye. If you dissuade people from using an autonomous vehicle, you are killing people. Wow, okay, but we should probably step back. We should probably remember that Elon Musk is, well, yeah, he's pretty much selling as far as I know, the number one autonomous vehicle out there, the big car that has self-driving capabilities. And moving even beyond that, they just announced that all the new cars coming off the line, all of them are going to have the new self-driving, the hardware, the quote-unquote autopilot, although they're basically saying they're going to be changing the name and all this. And it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. But, yeah, I think Elon Musk in his, we're going to be killing people if we keep them from the self-driving cars. I don't know that that's really a fair, accurate approach. I think it's I don't know, hyperbole maybe, just going all over the place. 1 in 2 American adults are in a facial recognition network that is basically run by our government. I want you to think about this. Half of us are basically in a situation where at least one of our pictures is part of a database that they can identify us. Now, mind you, when we talk about a database, we have also found that Facebook can reverse engineer the faces. We've seen this, of course, for years on shows like NCIS and CSI, and they get a picture of somebody from like half a mile away, and it's all of like 20 pixels in size. Oh, hey, I figured out exactly who this person is. It doesn't work quite like that, but they have really figured out that, yes, people are out there that are tracking our pictures and collecting them. They've done this through Freedom of Information Act requests, and all of this information is definitely being shared back and forth between all of the different departments, between all of the different agencies. Well, not all of them. They've confirmed that 1 in 4, minimum of 1 in 4, are already doing some sort of facial recognition capability. Wow, that's amazing. That means that's 1 in 4 that I have the pictures. So, yeah, it's coming along. We're going to see in a few years, just 1, 2, 3, we're going to see everybody in that database. This is Benjamin Rockwell. Bob Maginnis is going to join me next, talking about cyber warfare and more here on Computer Talk Radio.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio, so I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. One of the things that I've been wanting to talk about for a while is kind of where we're going. There's an evolution in how technology is affecting us in so many different areas, but one of the areas is on the battlefield. It's in how different things are occurring, and there's all kinds of different concepts. We've got a new cyber command. We've got the concepts of cyber warfare and so forth. So I thought I would bring on somebody who really understands a lot of this concept. His name is Bob Maginnis. And Bob, thank you for coming on the air. Tell me what we're looking at for the near future as far as basically the Cyber Command.
Well, the Cyber Command has a lot of capabilities. I don't know that we've seen many of them demonstrated as yet, Benjamin. Certainly, in a defensive mode, but they're building offensive capabilities that will be able to, for all practical purposes, zap a target. Now, whether that is a server or a bunch of servers that happen to be in this country or somewhere else in the world to be determined. But the technology is here and it is available. And as everybody knows, I know those of us that, like me in the Pentagon, we're constantly being bombarded from outside. The reports indicate it's the Chinese or it's the Russians or it's the Iranians. But there are a lot of characters out there, and they all have sticky fingers, and they like to blast us with all sorts of, attacks. And so, we'll have to wait and see as to where this is going. But there's technology in cyber world, certainly in the space world, certainly even what I deal in future war on the whole cyberized or cyberguised soldiers, super soldiers of the world. These are frightening things that are right on our doorstep.
Sure. So you've kind of led into that next direction. You've mentioned that, just hinted at it. We have, of course, that direction in the physical world. That cyber command is in that internet world. It's in that communication world. What are we looking at on the battlefield? What are we seeing on the future horizon for the various theaters of war that we're going into?
Well, certainly let's begin with cyber. We've seen what has happened on the battlefield with regard to cyber, say in the Republic of Georgia as it was attacked years ago by the Russians, Estonia, and we've seen other evidence of cyber attacks that have really gone after the the C4ISR, the communications capability of another nation or its military, certainly its intelligence, its sensing capabilities, and so forth. We've seen a lot of electronic warfare, which is kind of tantamount or certainly tangential to what we're seeing in cyber. So you've got those sorts of things, and then you add the very superior capabilities that we're seeing the Russians, the Chinese, and even we are bringing aboard. I would call this a cyber-guised soldier, where you have kind of the best of man and machines kind of put together. It looks like next year, for instance, the Special Operations Command is going to have this suit, this exoskeleton-like device that goes all over the body that allows the soldier that's wearing it to lift, a couple 100 pounds and to run maybe 10 miles an hour. That's significant change. And, of course, this dates back decades when an organization called the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA, that works with the Pentagon, initially a secret organization credited with stealth technology, the Internet, GPS, and a whole bunch of other things. And so they're developing these capabilities that really blow my mind in terms of how they're harnessing not only externally, but we're even seeing some research on the internal chips that are, having some control over certain body parts. Now, initially, that has been primarily to help people that have been severely wounded, so that they can move their limbs.
Yes.
So you have all these things coming to the battlefield, and it is certainly going to be a very different battlefield of the future than we've seen here of late.
So now I've seen one of those where a former soldier paralyzed basically from waist down. He had this whole set of this exoskeleton over his legs, and he was able to walk around fairly well. Moving beyond that, what are we talking about for strength-wise? What are we talking about for now all of a sudden we can augment somebody who already has the strength of his legs by what? A matter of he can carry 50 pounds, 100 pounds, 200 pounds more than he could before?
Yeah, and even climb, very steep walls, like a gecko. They in fact have this skin that a soldier can wear that makes them basically like Spider-Man, be able to climb up. And these things are developed; they're out there. Now, not only do you have that combination of man and machine, but of course, the vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs said recently he is concerned about giving AI, artificial intelligence, to robots that we'll now use in the battlefield. Now, this combination, we're beginning to see evidence being experimented with, and in some cases, like by the Russians in eastern Ukraine, we've seen some evidence that they're trying to experiment with this sort of stuff. So this is something that is right on our doorstep, and it's going to be evolving. If you were to be concerned, I would be concerned about some of the ethical issues that are involved here. Certainly, if you harness technology to improve human performance, then we actually are pushing up against the Geneva Conventions that forbade enhanced combatants. Years ago, when that was written in the late 40s, nobody thought any of this would be, a reality. It was only fictitious. It was part of comic books and so forth.
Sure, yeah.
But today, it's real. And we could even consider some of these cyber-guised soldiers as biological agents that are a violation of the BTWC, which is a treaty that we've signed that we're not going to spread and develop biological weapons. And yet, what is somebody that's walking and can kill indiscriminately and incredibly capable, and in some cases, what I'm concerned about, will not have a conscience? Now, we're trying to make sure that whether it's a robot and there's an AI involved, that we're in the middle, a human being is making the decisions, much like when you fly a drone over Afghanistan while sitting in Nellis Air Force Base there in Nevada, that there is a human being making the decisions to, fire that Hellfire missile into that car. However, the Russians and the Chinese haven't demonstrated a similar proclivity for ethical engagement on such issues. We are very concerned about future battlefields and how they can become very, very dangerous and deadly.
You're basically telling me, though, that while you think we're going to be doing the right thing, but the Chinese and the Russians are going to be doing the wrong thing and ignoring the 3 laws of robotics?
Well, I think that's a real possibility given their past proclivities. I will tell you, I've sat in a briefing less than a year ago, Benjamin, where this person that came from the battlefield in eastern Ukraine told me about what he called zombies, what the Russians gave people that they took out of their jails. They gave them speed and vodka, and they put them with weapons, walking side by side with armored vehicles, attacking into Ukrainian forces, and of course they died, just as they, walked into that fire.
Wow.
That's the sort of thing we have to be concerned about, and that demonstrates to me, given not only what the Russians have done prior to that, but certainly some of the experiments we saw in North Korea, we've seen, evidence of even in China. So these things are not just a freak of nature. These things are happening, and we need to be concerned about it and do what we can to preclude it. I know we're researching what we can do to prevent some of this from harming us, but there's only so much that we can do.
Bob Maginnis, he is the author of Future Wars. We're going to talk about this a little bit more when we get back. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get computer hardware. It's not easy, as there are so many stores that have gone out of business, so many shady characters online, or they're simply not capable of handling diverse needs. In 1979, 2 guys got together and built a computer company that could serve your nerdy needs. Micro Center. The wide range of products at Micro Center includes even the latest of Raspberry Pi, Arduino, and other hobbyist-level computers. They also have drones. They've got them in all price categories, from toys to, oh boy. Look, you're looking for console gaming, home automation. Micro Center's got that. Hardware, software, accessories, or, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. From Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com. I have Bob Maginnis on the line, and some of what you've mentioned is kind of chilling. What do you see as far as where are we going to go with this? Is there any way we can stop any of this?
Well, we haven't been able to turn back technology over the years. Eventually, it will go in its own direction. We would like to think that we can control it. Just like we thought we could control by ignoring the development of nuclear weapons, and yet they were used.
Oh, sure.
Today we find an explosion across the world in capability amongst many nations, ballistic missiles, the use of biological agents, the use of chemical agents. We're even looking at hypersonic arms today that can deliver nuclear weapons now to the Earth at 10 times the speed of sound. And with great accuracy. We're talking technologies that are really transforming the world. Much like the Internet has transformed things, satellites have transformed things, there's always something new on the horizon. So this is a complex, very dangerous world ahead.
Now, anybody who's listened to me for longer than about 3 or 4 weeks, I know there's sometimes, frequently, a dark side to technology, and I don't want to ever gloss over any of that because it's the real world. This is a direction that could be kind of ugly, or, well, for some, it could be kind of awesome. Why don't you touch on how this might tie into prophecy?
Yeah, as I have 5 chapters in the middle, Benjamin, that deal with threats of the future. Certainly the whole terrorism piece. And I look at, I try to interpret what might be a biblical end time scenario that addresses the lawlessness associated with significant levels of terrorism across the globe. And I found, for instance, in Matthew 24, where it talks about lawlessness has increased, and the love of most will grow cold. And perhaps there's something there. I'm not a prophet, I don't know, but I look at it in that perspective. Then I looked at this whole transhumanist thing and looked at cyber guys, soldiers, super soldiers, AI with robots. And I thought of Luke 21, where it says, "Men will faint from fear when they see these things." There's a very interesting account in the book of Genesis in chapter 6 where it talks about these giants. They call them Nephilim. And the Nephilim, interestingly, were supposed to be giants that eventually were supposedly killed at the flood, but came back and occupied the land of Israel before Moses was to take the people in there. And of course, his 12 spies go out and they say, "Oh, we can't go in there because there are all these giants." Well, that may be the case. Well, when we think about these powerful human beings that are part machine, part biological, or the AI robots, we think of these powerful beings. And, so it could be that, these are a sign. Don't know. Certainly when we look at, what's going on in space, can you imagine a nuclear electromagnetic pulse? They will fry everything.
Sure, yeah.
And, of course, that would create great fear, great angst. And I see that there's, evidence once again of the heavenly bodies, it says in Luke 21, will be shaken. And what would cause that? Would it be a laser, pointing at a target on Earth, or will it be explosions in outer space? Maybe satellites being blown up. Certainly the Chinese have been working with a number of capabilities of destroying satellites in orbit, and here recently, in the last month, they put in orbit a new type of satellite that has this long arm that can pull junk out of space, but it can also go up and wrestle on an existing satellite, pull it out of orbit, and destroy it if they wanted to. So there's so much going on here in terms of technology, but it also has, I think, a possible indication of, some biblical end-time signs. Don't know if it's going to, lead to that, but, it's not a pretty picture as I see it.
This is one of those things where we could go in a 1,000 different directions with this. What do you see is the best that we could wind up with out of all of this?
Well, I developed, up front in the first part of the book, I develop or a layout. What are the mega trends of the future? What are the game changers? What are the black swans, the things that are unpredictable? What all this comes together? What type of world will it make, and how will we get along? I don't see us being in a bipolar war or a bipolar world like we were with the Soviet Union. I think the future is going to be far more unpredictable. We're going to have certainly large, capable nations but one is not going to necessarily be better than the other. You're going to have these mega cities. You're going to have even non-governmental organizations and intergovernmental organizations, and you're going to have all these coalitions. So decision-making is going to be very complex. So a new world order, as this would outline and suggest, is going to be very disconcerting. And when you equip it with all these capabilities, we have the real potential not only of significant chaos, but we also have, the reality, I think, is that, it points once again, as I've outlined a couple minutes ago, to signs that maybe things are coming to some sort of end. I don't necessarily want to believe that, but it's just not a pretty picture as I sit here today.
Yeah. Bob, do me a favor. Give out information where people can find out more in regards to the book Future War.
Well, Future War is available on Barnes & Noble and also on Amazon. And, I think it is cutting-edge information about what the future might look like, not only the threats, but the type of world government that we're moving to. And then I lay out a series of 6 chapters on what we can do to address, what is seemingly a very high-risk future that we face.
Very cool. That's Bob Maginnis, and again, the book Future War. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. Keith M. Sedor joins me next here on Computer Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Benjamin Rockwell. Most of us use digital cameras nowadays, but what do we do with those old pictures and slides in the back of the closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. If you have boxes of old slides, then you know they fade more and more each year. Let Legacy Digital scan them for you and stop the aging process dead in its tracks. You'll get beautiful 10-megapixel digital files, color-corrected and ready for printing. All this is done faster and cheaper than buying a film scanner and doing it yourself. Your files are then burned onto gold archival DVD discs where they will last for generations. Call right now, mention my name, Benjamin Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. And tell them Benjamin sent you. Your memories are priceless, so call 866-2-LEGACY now.
Keith M. Sedor is a Mac. Benjamin Rockwell is a PC. I think a fanboy fight is about to start.
The phone number 888-NERD. 888, that's 888-637-3888. Any of your computer questions, if I can't answer them, Keith M. Sedor probably can. That, of course, means that Keith M. Sedor joins me now.
Hello again, Benjamin.
Hello again? What do you mean, hello again?
Hello again. Apple has made it official. October 27th is the day of the event where we will see brand new Macs. And what do I mean by hello again? Well, when the original Mac was introduced, Steve Jobs pulled the Macintosh out of the bag and it said hello.
Interesting.
And when the iMac was introduced in 1998, it said hello again.
Okay, so that makes sense.
And once again, we have an invitation from Apple, and it says hello again, which can only mean new Macs.
Fair enough.
What we're actually expecting to see, Benjamin, next week is a refresh of most, if not all, of the entire Mac lineup. I'm not expecting to see any updates as far as the Mac Pro or Mac Mini models are concerned.
Yeah.
But I do expect that we will at least see updated internals on the iMac desktops, the MacBook Air, and we're expecting to see a brand new, completely redesigned MacBook Pro.
Fair enough.
We'll have all the details from Apple's keynote on next week's Computer Talk Radio.
So now we've got a different topic, though, and that is one that's kind of plagued me recently, and I want to know, how is your experience with people utilizing web browsers for everything?
Well, the web browser, Benjamin, as you know, in the modern day has become a jack of all trades. And you know the rule about a jack of all trades. The jack of all trades is master of, Benjamin?
None. Absolutely none.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, what do we mean? Basically, in a nutshell, people are using their web browsers to do things that there are actually full applications to do these things, which would best suit a particular need. The one that comes to mind most is email. I see so many people log into the webmail version of their email, whether it's with Gmail, whether it is with their local internet provider, whether it's a national company, their local internet provider, people are using their web browser. And if you just have basic text messages, it's okay. It's something you can get by with. But if you have rich text, graphics, and embedded video, as well as large, enormous file sizes of attachments, this is not the tool for that. And if you get a lot of errors and problems when you're working with your web browser for your email, the reason is easily fixed by using a mail application like Apple's Mail, or if you're on a Windows machine, there's the third-party product from the folks that make Firefox. They make a mail client
Thunderbird.
called Thunderbird.
Yeah,
you know it?
and you can always use Microsoft Outlook, too.
Well,
and actually, Microsoft Mail.
What?
Oh, man.
But why would you? So,
Well, if you're on the Windows side, there's plenty of options there, yes.
But we're talking about Apple things, Benjamin.
We're talking about web things.
Oh,
Web,
okay,
web
that's true.
browsers. So, hey,
But that's a little joke that Mac consultants tell. We like to kid our Windows brethren.
Okay, so that makes sense. Okay.
Another area that I've recently seen the deficiencies in the web browser is with PDFs.
Yes, definitely.
I've seen somebody try to print a PDF that they downloaded, but instead of actually downloading the file, they just displayed it within their web browser.
Okay, all right.
And when they went to print it, there was some garbage text and there were some fonts that didn't display properly. And the reason that this happens, Benjamin, is because the web browser is not designed to be a PDF reader.
Very true.
Basically, what you have is a plugin.
Interesting.
And the plugin extends the functionality of the web browser so you can view a PDF.
Okay, so that makes sense.
But it's not going to give you the full functionality of a PDF reader like Adobe's Reader or Apple's Preview app.
Okay, all right.
And if you were to download your file
Yeah.
and then actually open it in a PDF reader like Adobe Reader, then these problems go away, which is what I've witnessed this week. And that was how we solved the problem, by actually opening it in the actual application, not relying on something lightweight like your web browser to do a task it really wasn't designed for.
Interesting. Unfortunately, though, I think a lot of companies, a lot of corporations out there have this design in mind that we're all going to use the browser, that we're all going to continue down this road of just poor programs.
Well, that's true. You can actually use a web browser to access Apple apps through iCloud. If you log into iCloud.com with your Apple ID, you will have to upgrade to iCloud Drive, but you will have access to Pages, which is Apple's word processing program, Numbers, which is their spreadsheet program, and Keynote, which is their presentation program. And what I've discovered is you will get some basic functionality.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, if you actually want to have complete and total functionality, you need to be using the actual applications that are installed on your Mac.
Yeah. Or, of course, on your Windows PC. This is Benjamin Rockwell.
And I'm Keith M. Sedor.
You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment. Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and just a normal person. Recently, though, it was clear to me that it was time to upgrade, but I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After searching around for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when a 32-ounce soda would do. These guys know WordPress, Joomla, and regular standard websites. These guys at SiteGround are awesome. SiteGround.com. Site SITE, ground.com. I want you to picture yourself. You're sitting there and you're getting ready to turn on your computer. You really need to get it turned on right away because you are in a hurry. You're ready to head out the door, off to some event. You need the information right here on your laptop, on your desktop, wherever it is. You need the information on this computer right now. Why do you need it? Because it's your instructions on how to get there. We've had this kind of thing happen. It doesn't have to be exactly this situation. However, there's this unwritten law of computing that sits out there, and it goes like this. It has to do with the chance that Windows will automatically install time-sensitive critical updates. This is directly proportional to your need to get your PC started as fast as possible. Yep, that's right. That is absolutely right. This happens to us all the time. I want you to think about this. How often have you had to wait for one of these massive updates to occur? All I need to do is I need to restart the computer because I have tech support on the line, and oh no, we're sitting here bored. It's taking forever. Why? Why me? Yeah, okay. This happens to us all the time, and there isn't any way around it. I'm the bearer of bad news here. You have to wait for it. We always have to wait for these things. There are shortcuts. I mean, I can go and I can blow the computer away, that entire update, by powering it down. There is a greater chance that I'm going to break something if I do that. We're tempted. We are all tempted to just hit the power button, just hold that power button down for 10 seconds and let it just die out. And then we power it on, and hopefully, maybe it will just forget the fact that it was doing those updates. That used to be actually the case. We had a hope back a while back. These days, we don't even have that hope. We can be very tempted to do that. But the reality, I tell everybody, if it freezes up, if it does this kind of nonsense, and it waits longer than about 15 minutes, you can power it off after 15 minutes. But I'm telling you, make that a real 15 minutes. And if it has a percentage thing on the screen, it says, we're 10% done, we're 12% done. That's 15 minutes after it has stopped. If it sits at 15 minutes, full 15 minutes, at 10%, 70%, whatever it is, and it's always 70% at that 15 minutes, you can do that then. But otherwise, leave it be. I know. Give your apologies. Blame Microsoft. Everybody else does. I mean, why not you? This is Benjamin Rockwell. Of course, these little tidbits of information come from me here at Computer Talk Radio.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. TheRadioFactory.com.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, that's 888-6373-888. I am a computer nerd. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy bringing all kinds of information to you about the world of technology. And so when I go into this next topic here, I'm sure you already know kind of where this is going, because there's these two lists. And one list is the list of 15 fastest shrinking companies in America, and the other one is the 15 fastest growing companies in America. So you'll see something very quickly in all of this as we move through this entire list, both of the 15 of them. So 15, we're going to count down on the 15 fastest shrinking companies. 15 is Caterpillar. Yeah, the guys who they make the big, huge tractors that suck down all kinds of oil and all of that. It's one of the biggest, just, huge things in regards to, earth-moving equipment. The next company, Anadarko Petroleum, an oil company. CF Industries, and these guys they are the largest producer of nitrogen-based fertilizers in the United States. And then Vertex Pharmaceuticals, and this is one of those things where they have had some hiccups along the way with some of the marketing of basically this hepatitis C drug. So this has actually really created a problem for them. Fluor, as in Fluor Daniels, they are the largest public engineering and construction company, and they're really having a hard time there. Valero Energy, that's the gas company. Occidental Petroleum, does that sound interesting here? Murphy Oil Company, Exxon Mobil Corporation, Chevron, Hess, and they are actually also an oil company. Phillips 66, ConocoPhillips, Marathon Oil, and Apache. Now, when I say Apache Corporation, no, I'm not talking about the Apache Web Company, which basically develops some of the software that you surf the internet on. So there we go. I just counted down the 15 fastest shrinking companies. They all have one thing in common, or most of them have one thing in common. Yes, petroleum, oil, digging big, huge holes in the ground. Now, let's look at the other list. That 15 fastest growing companies in America. Starting off down at the bottom of those 15, Netflix. Their 3-year revenue change is 87.8%. Their latest annual revenue, $6.8 billion. Yeah, this is just an amazing thing that's going on. We've been watching this for quite a while, and no pun intended when I say we've been watching Netflix. Yes. A company called Illumina. They are the world's largest genome sequencing company. Okay. Now, when we talk about this, these are the guys where you submit your information and they check out. They don't really check it out. They make the equipment that checks out your genes. They make all of this stuff that checks basically how you are comparing to other people, how drugs are going to impact you, and stuff like this. This is quite an amazing thing. A company called Biogen, which is no relation to InGen from the Jurassic Park series. This is a biotechnology company that has also doubled their revenue in the last 3 years. And what do? Well, they're basically dealing with a lot of drug development and things like that. This is a pharmaceutical industry, but high technology as far as the drug industry and all of that. Another company, TripAdvisor, they're number 12 on this list. TripAdvisor, of course, .com, and they're capitalizing on the fact that nobody contacts their travel agent anymore. A company called Micron Technology, and these guys have been around for a long time. They really came into their success through a lot of building of RAM chips. Yeah, the basic memory in your computer. And they've been doing this for a while now. Great guys. I really enjoy them. We don't normally hear their name anymore. It used to be you could count on their name being first and foremost up front. But they've moved to the back. They've got a couple of different brands which are their front messengers, if you will, of what they're doing. A company called Skyworks Solutions. And these guys are also a semiconductor manufacturer. Basically, they're making radio frequency chips for most of the smartphones that are on the market. Yes, one of the things that we don't talk about a whole lot is some of the same chips are being used in your iPhone or your Galaxy whatever as into the other one. Yeah, some of those chips are the exact same in both of them. And this hopefully isn't that much of a surprise to you, but to some people, yeah, it is. A company called Michael Kors, you may have heard of them. They make apparel. They make clothing. And they've actually been pretty big. Under Armour is on this list as well, number 8 on the list. But as many people may not be aware, Under Armour makes high technology clothing. Yeah, they apply a lot of different science to the building of the different things that they're doing. They're working on not just undershirts, but undershirts that basically keep a person cool, and not in the sense of, hey, man, I'm cool. It's, hey, man, wow, it is a hot day and I feel cool. That kind of cool. Salesforce. And Salesforce is a big, huge company that's in the cloud computing realm, and they do a lot of stuff in regards to customer relationship management and basically tracking what's going on with your customers, or in some cases, going on with you. And they're basically building on up. They're number 7 on this list. And the funny thing is, they're number 7, even though they're still bleeding money like crazy. They lost $47 million this past fiscal year, $260 million the year before. And yet their revenue is just climbing. So they actually wound up on this list pretty well. Alexion Pharmaceuticals is another drug company. But again, a lot of these drug companies that are here are dealing with, the amazing high-end drugs, the stuff that's just really the deep, amazing science towards making people healthy. As a matter of fact, these guys build a drug that actually is for a rare blood disease called paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria. I'm not even sure I pronounced any of those words properly, but it costs, get this, $400,000 a year per patient. So yeah, they're making a lot of money, hand over fist on that one. Lennar, the home builders, D.R. Horton, also home building company, and then Regeneron Pharmaceuticals is another pharmaceutical company. Gilead Sciences, another pharmaceutical company. And number one on the list, Facebook. But the key thing that is amongst all of these folks is a matter of each of these on the poor performers. Yeah, they're on what we have considered an industry that's become, no pun intended, fossilized. And then on the high performers list, these are the companies that really are part of a lot of the leading edge of where we want to go with technology, with science, and, oh yeah, some of the housing companies there. So we need someplace to live, especially if we're going to be living longer. But that was one of the things that I noticed. This was one of those just amazing lists where I could sit there and I could compare and I could see real numbers back and forth. What do you see? How do you see the world changing, twisting, turning? Let me know. Go to computertalkradio.com and contact us. This is Benjamin Rockwell. I'll be back in just a moment.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. That's how you can reach myself, the nerd. Yeah, Benjamin Rockwell. That's how you can reach me. Just go to computertalkradio.com. Slide down just a little bit. See where it says Contact Us. Yeah, that leads to a brand new page with a number of different ways to contact us. The most important one, send me emails on anything you want, and I will get back with you. And if you send something to any of the rest of us here, just put their name on it, and I will make sure that they get back to you, that they answer your question, your issue, your comment, whatever it is. The internet, as we are all aware, is a crazy place. It's full of potholes. It's full of maniacs, bad guys, folks who are out to do one thing, separate you from your cold, hard cash. And some of these things that I'm going to mention are ways where they're going to get your money. But some of these are just good ideas that you must avoid doing on the internet. And that's what this is. This is the top things for you not to do on the internet ever, 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 ever. Okay, first one. Just say no to forwarding chain letters to your friends and family. Okay, now, I want to qualify this. There are places to forward information, and there's information to forward. The funny stuff, once in a while, but make it the funniest stuff. Don't forward on 50 things in a day, every day, for the rest of your life. That says, it says something about you spending way too much time on the funny stuff on the internet, that you're obsessive there. Don't go out of your way. Don't go crazy on this. Especially there's some of these things that say, you know, you're going to have no friends if you don't do this. You're going to be a social pariah if you don't forward this on. If it is a blatant chain letter, I assure you somebody's already forwarded it on to your friends. So don't be that one. Especially there's one that goes around every once in a while, and it's basically it quotes a particular quote that Jesus said. If you deny me before man, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Look, these items that say if you don't forward this email, then you're proving that you don't love Jesus and you're doomed to eternal destruction. Look, it is scripturally unsound. It is one of those things where, yes, if you are confronted, if somebody asks you, hey, are you a believer? Yes, that's when we are called to stand and say, yes, I believe. But this idea of, you have to do something else beyond that, no. Next one, do not use the password. Yeah, that's right. Don't use the word password as your password. Don't use your birthday, the names of children's pets, all numbers in a row, 11111, or something like that. Don't use any bad words. Don't use any real words if you can avoid it. The big thing these days, we're talking about passphrases. Not passwords. Passphrases. You put together a matter of 5, 6, 7 words in a row. A Bible quote is really an ideal one, especially if you're putting in instead of putting in like Genesis 1:1 in the beginning, et cetera, et cetera. Put in GN or GEN 1:1, or maybe even semicolon 1, which means you're basically doing something just a little bit odd, a little bit different to kind of throw things off. So, stay away from common passwords. Another one, do not buy merchandise found in your spam. Yeah, you're getting spam. You're getting emails from all of these different places. There are a few places where you can be safe with it. If it's actually Amazon, if it's actually eBay, then maybe, if you're used to responding to some of these, but try to avoid that. Here's the thing. It encourages the spammers and their ilk to continually socially unacceptable means of selling product. That's part one. Part two, spammers aren't always legitimate, and your money may be gone. This is an important thing, especially pop-up ads. That's another thing. Pop-ups, pop-unders. If it pops up on the internet, raise an eyebrow. Look into the product if you're interested in the product. That's one thing, but don't buy something just because, oh, hey, I saw an ad for it. Don't post your email address, phone number, address, social security number, blood type, all that on the internet. You do your email address, you're going to get spam. You do your phone number, well, I post my phone number on the internet. I do get phone calls at odd times. Post your address. How many people are on the internet? How many people are on the internet that now have your home address? Be very careful about this kind of stuff. Social security number, well, that's obviously a little bit more obvious one, obviously. Here's another one. Don't forget to update your Windows, and actually most of your software these days. I originally thought Windows, but these days Adobe, all of your Adobe products, Mac OS, you can update that on a regular basis. Yeah, Keith says it's spend a little bit more time, wait a little bit for it. He is a little bit more cautious than I am. I'm kind of aggressive. There's something called Patch Tuesday. I usually wait a matter of a few days after Patch Tuesday. So the Friday after Patch Tuesday is typically when I install updates. Don't connect to the internet without a firewall or an antivirus, or both. Viruses, Trojans, worms, all of that, they're out there. That's a disaster waiting to happen. The firewall is a measure of protection as well. If you've got a hardware firewall, that's a broadband router, that's perfectly fine for your home. If you're out and about, you've got a laptop, look for something like Zone Alarm. They've got a free version of Zone Alarm. That's perfectly fine. Don't enter in any private information without seeing the tiny little padlock icon on the status bar of your browser. That's a very key item there. You want to make sure. And there's various ways on the browsers. Sometimes they put the whole address bar green and things like that. You want to know that you're dealing with a secure session, and the people who are receiving your information are securing the transition of that information from your computer to their computers. Here's another one for you. You get any emails from a Nigerian prince? Yeah, we know that one. Nigerian bankers. But let's take that a step further. We've made this into a big joke about it being the Nigerian prince. We all understand that. But there are increasingly more daring ones that seem a little bit more believable. Hey, Susie just sent me an email. She's in England? I didn't know she went on vacation. That is so cool. I want to go to England. Oh, wait. She needs money right now? She's about ready to be arrested? Oh, let's send her bail money. This is important. We can't stop. We got to do that right away. No, that's a scam. There's a number of these out there. They're always trying this one. One more item, and this should be a no-brainer, but don't set up a wireless broadband router utilizing the default settings for your wireless router's name and password. As a matter of fact, change your passwords on a regular basis. If you haven't done it in a year, change them now. That's right, right now. Drop everything, go and change all of the passwords you haven't changed in the last year. I do it more often than that, believe it or not. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. Stick with us. We've got more information for you here. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get the things that are on my nerd wish list. It's not easy. There are so many stores that have gone out of business. There are so many shady characters online, or so many of them are just simply not capable of handling my needs in a one-stop shop. In 1979, two guys got together and built the brick-and-mortar company that could serve your tech needs. Of course, today, they've got an online presence, and it's called Micro Center. They've got tablets, iPad, yes, but also Android and Windows and all the accessories, too. They've got laptops, desktops, all-in-ones, Windows or Apple, of course, all covered here. Motherboards and processors, and okay, all right, who are we kidding? It's really everything to build your own PC. Keyboards, mice, surge protectors, software, tools, and thumb drives. Enough. Look, from Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com. The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, that's 888-6373-888. Marty Winston joins me now, and Marty, the 40-year house has all kinds of different things going on with it. One of the things that I know that we've talked about in the past is you've got fans going, and you've got a couple of different things going on with the fans. I remember there's a sensor that determines where the fan blades are to make sure that it doesn't block the cap. But one of the things that came to mind for me was just recently was in a few more months. Mind you, okay, I'm in Southern California. It's going to be probably December. I'm going to change the direction on my fan. Have you thought of anything about like automating that or somehow changing that via remote instead of getting up on a ladder?
In fact, there's a company called, sorry about this, people, it's the name of the company, Big Ass Fans.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
they have a line of fans called Haiku. And in doing enormous amounts of research, they were able to determine that reversing a fan is not necessary. However, they do a lot to finesse when the fan is used. For example, it runs at different speeds if there are people visible to it. Now,
Okay.
that is a nice way to approach things, but of course, I'm going to kick it up a notch.
You don't really do anything simple with this. You've been doing a lot of kicking it up a notch there. You're like the Emerald Lagasse of houses or something. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm all paprika and garlic. Golly. What I'm doing, and of course I've got the benefit of all the sensors being everywhere. What I'm doing with ceiling fans, well, let's leave those behind for another day. Let's talk about the fans that are over the shower and the fans that are in, shall we say, the loo, the lavatory area.
Yes, yeah.
There are two things about those fans that are important. One is you don't want them to make any noise. And the other is nobody's going to turn them on and off at the right time.
Yeah.
So I found, now, Big Ass makes good ceiling fans. Panasonic makes good bathroom fans. And then I found fans from Brown that are just, make me so comfy. These things use really oversized squirrel cage blowers. These blowers are 7 inches in diameter and 5 inches deep. And by being bigger, they can move more air with every rotation, so they don't have to move quite as quickly, quite as fast rotational speed as the bathroom fans you may be used to. As a result, in testing, during much of their operation, they measure, I'll give you the number, it's not going to be very meaningful, 0.3 seconds. Now, here's what that really means. It is the lowest possible measurement of the level measuring equipment. There is no zero. 0.3 is as low as it goes, and that's where these guys are.
Oh, wow,
So,
okay.
yeah, noise gets solved. It's a hush my mouth kind of fan. But their automation is really wacky. They were able to outthink me, and I admire that.
Wow, okay.
For the shower fan, yes, they have a humidity trigger level that can set the fan off. But they're also using a controller with memory. So if there is a sudden rise in humidity, even before it hits the trigger point, that turns on.
Okay.
When the humidity drops, the fan turns off. What's that mean? You're in the shower. You can't forget to turn the switch on. You don't need the switch.
So it's completely bypassed off of the light switch, like normal people do.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could put it in there, and then they show how to wire if you want it in there, but you don't need it.
Okay.
And anything you
Nice.
don't need, you're not going to get wrong.
Right.
So, I'm loving that. It also has, and you can set this, an auto turn-off once it's started that might be based on just humidity, or you could also have a countdown timer for anywhere between 5 minutes and an hour.
Okay.
Now, it's companion for the room with the potty in it.
Yes.
Now, anybody got kids? Do the kids turn that fan on in time? They turn it off in time? Do they leave it running all day? I started thinking about, okay, how the heck am I going to automate that fan?
Uh-huh.
And I have to tell you, I talked to the product manager. He said we even investigated using VOC sensors.
Uh-huh.
Let's just call it gas sensors. They're finicky, they're expensive. He didn't need to do that. He's got something that's a lot more clever. He tied in a motion sensor, and you know motion has to have a motion sensor to work.
Yes.
The countdown timer, again, you can adjust it from 5 minutes to 60 minutes, but it's factory set at a default of 20 in the bathroom without moving.
I'm sorry, you broke up there.
So you can't get into that room without moving. Therefore, whenever you get into the room, you're going to turn the fan on. And if you leave right away, the fan's still going to run for 20 minutes. That doesn't bother me. These are not huge power consumers.
Okay.
If you're in the room for more than 20 minutes, what are the odds you're going to be absolutely motionless?
Not likely.
Not likely. And then when you're done in there and it's time to leave, again, you're in motion. So for 20 minutes after you, that fan's still running, and it's not loud enough to bother anybody. On the other side of the door, it's unusual for anybody to even hear it. So
Okay.
two examples of fans that managed to be, wishfully quiet, and that managed to be so automated that the switch isn't even an afterthought. It's not going to have a switch.
Nice. So that basically takes care of a lot there. Nice, and it's quiet. It's going to be unobtrusive. It's going to be automated. This is really cool. So
even a little more automated than usual.
Yeah.
I'll remind you that when we find there's a drop in air pressure outside, the barometer drops. We don't want to have a high gradient, a high difference between what's inside and what's outside. So we take advantage of fans to help blow air out of the house and drop the air pressure in the house. And, of course, we turn all fans off in the event of a fire. So every fan gets 2 extra relays.
Wow. Definitely a wild time with wiring all of this up. The voice over there, that's Marty Winston. I'm Benjamin Rockwell. The website, if you want to find out more in regards to this project, it's 40yearhouse.com. I'll be back with more in just a moment.
Hey guys, this is Benny Rockwell. Most of us use video cameras nowadays, but what about those old movie films in the back of your closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. Imagine Grandpa's old 8mm and 16mm films that are just sitting in a box getting old and fading away. Legacy Digital will clean and recondition those films, capture them digitally frame by frame, and then produce beautiful DVDs of your precious memories on long-lasting, archive-quality discs. They don't use a projector, and your films can't be damaged in the process, the best available for families like yours. The final results are gorgeous. What better way to preserve those precious memories for future generations? Call right now, mention my name, Benny Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. 1-866-253-4229. And tell them Benny sent you. Your memories are priceless. So call 866-2-LEGACY now.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. That's where you can reach myself, Benjamin Rockwell, or perhaps Steve Keske, with any questions you might have in regards to computers or technology. That's what we're here for. Steve Keske, of course, joins me now. And Steve, I understand you're going to get a little spacey with us today.
Oh, bad pun. Yes.
I always have bad puns. You know, that's part of what makes this radio gig so fun.
That's it. No, they have now patented a new, shall we say, improved EM drive for spacecraft.
EM, so we're talking electromagnetic?
That's correct.
Wow, so a matter of just a bunch of electricity to get us, where? I presume, what, to the moon? Well, I guess we've been talking a lot about Mars lately, haven't we?
Yeah, they're talking about a 10-week trip to Mars.
Whoa, 10 weeks. Okay.
That's fast.
That is quite an improvement when you consider they've been talking the best under standard rocket propulsion was going to be about 8 or 9 months.
Yeah.
Doing that
in less than that, it's because it doesn't have to have the external fuel.
Okay. Well, I mean, you have to come up with the electricity somewhere, but I guess
not necessarily, because in this case we're going to use microwaves.
Okay.
To create the EM pellets.
Okay.
Okay. So by using microwaves, and microwaves are all over the place, you can gather microwaves everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the fuel is already out there in space. All you're doing is grabbing the microwaves and sit there and play with them.
Okay.
And use them to thrust.
All right. So you're kind of you're funneling what's there and utilizing that. Okay. So that's pretty neat. That is Okay, there is one concern that comes to mind because, the more I think about it, we've got all those nice, neat little grids and all that all over our microwave at home when we go to cook our food. Are we not going to be concerned about, like, baking the astronauts?
No.
Okay.
All right. Well, heck, you could stand out there and you can literally put your hand on the front of your microwave and it's not going to cook your hand.
No, but if I put my hand inside the microwave and
then you're putting it in the microwaves waves themselves.
Yeah.
And you can contain a microwave very easily.
Okay.
And that could, we've been using microwave technology for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember when I was young having microwaves available.
Sure. And all of that goes on, but yet we just are now starting to use that technology in many different other ways.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, scientists don't really understand exactly how this EM propulsion really works because there's a few laws of physics that it kind of like distorts or breaks.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual engine works. They've tested it, but it doesn't necessarily do exactly obey a few laws in there, and they're not sure how.
Okay. So there's a patent on this. And I presume they've done some level of testing here then, right?
Oh, yeah, because they've got one engine to work, at least one, and now the newest patent is an improved version.
New and improved. Now available at a store near you. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about for cost or anything like that? Do you have any kind of lead on that?
They don't even get into cost.
Well, yeah, and we're talking about space industry, so there's usually we're doing this. It doesn't matter how much it costs.
That's and you don't know if it's a private concern doing it or NASA or anybody else.
Sure, yeah.
It could really say who's doing it.
Yeah, Elon Musk could be behind the whole effort there. And
I mean,
he's got money to burn.
That's right.
Well, I don't know. The latest concerns about him and Solar City and Tesla, but he keeps on surviving a lot of the naysayers. So, yeah. And I must admire his dream to go to Mars. I will tell you that it's quite an amazing dream. I think there's still big holes in it, but this would start filling some of those holes, though, because moving there, getting there in a matter of 2.5 months is quite a bit different than being cooped up in that tin can for 8 or 9 months.
Oh, that's right. And, getting all your stuff there and then having it there so that when you get there, you can start assembling everything ahead of time, And, of course, if you do it right and an EM drive does work the way they say that's going to work, that means that you can reverse land it and reuse it that much better. Those rockets.
Sure. Or you just leave it there and you use it to cook food. I don't know. It's one of those things which I joke around about it, but this could be exciting. We're starting to see some very interesting things.
Martian, cook that whole Martian feast.
Yes, a Martian feast. Yeah, we won't tell you what's in the Martian feast.
No.
This is Benjamin Rockwell. That's Steve Keske. I'll be back with my closing comments in just a moment here on Computer Talk Radio. Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and, well, a normal person. Recently, though, it became clear to me that it was time to upgrade. I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After looking for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their care, their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when all I needed was a 1-gallon bucket. The folks at SiteGround know WordPress, Joomla, and more. SiteGround.com. S-I-T-E ground.com for your web hosting needs. SiteGround. Some of the stories that I have that stick with me throughout my career as a computer technician just amaze me. Some of them just astound me at some of the craziness I've had to deal with. We had this guy that I was working with. He was a network engineer, and he had about the excitement of, I remember this comedian. We talked about him at the time. Stephen Wright, I think, was his name. And this comedian was dry. He talked about his just mundane life and pretended like that was the exciting thing. One of the lines I remember was, "I drank milk yesterday that was a day past its expiration." That was what that comedian did. It was funny. He was great and he was funny. But working with somebody like that is not always funny. We had, look, I'm going to tell you, your backup plan, your way of making sure you do not lose data, is only as good as your last successful restore. We were sitting there one day, and this network technician, who I will tell you, you could light his pants on fire, and he would treat it as one of the most mundane things. This guy was, I don't know whether he was on some ADHD medication or whatever it was, but he was absolutely just out of it all the time. We had a situation where one of our servers just completely, everything disappeared off of it. What had happened? Oh, we found out that he was doing a backup of the system, and he checked this checkbox that he saw, and he was like, one of the items, one of the options there was backup everything and delete it. Well, you normally don't do that. That's basically moving. You're familiar with copy and move. Copy is make a copy of this, a backup copy of this from this directory over into this directory. If you move the file, it moves it from directory A to directory B and then deletes it from directory A. That's what he did. We told him that. Well, actually, we had to go looking for him. He was in the break room, just sitting there, chatting away. We said, the server's down. Okay, I'll look at it. Go finding him, looking for him. We find him in the break room 20 minutes later. The server is still down. What are you doing? It's like, I'll fix it. What? No. Look, your backup plan is only as good as your last successful restore. Really means that everything could have fallen apart there. Because I'll tell you, if he checked that particular box, what else could he have checked that could have meant that we would have lost everything? All completely gone. Well, fortunately, we made more backups than that, but still, that was a scary experience. It's kind of sticks with me to this day. We have to be careful about what we check and what we don't check, and we still need to make sure we've got other backups we can rely on. This is Benjamin Rockwell, and you're listening to Computer Talk Radio. We'll catch you next week.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time.